difficult because the way in which we talk about gender identity or sexual minorities as a society, it comes within the context of what we call the culture wars, and that never foments good discussion. It's an issue we've seen politicized. It gets so much so, bathroom bills, sports participation, and pronouns. It's like the trifecta. And and even now, just if you mention the word pronouns, you're going to get a whole section of Twitter angry at you for that. And you're like, we're not having any discussion of meaning or substance, and the humanity of people, regardless of their gender experience, is being lost amid all of this. What can we do to get rid or push away those less helpful conversations and begin to cultivate more helpful conversations?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the first step is what you're doing right there, Josh, which is recognizing how easily we can get swept up in that. And I think on the front end, it will be catching ourselves. When we start to feel ourselves get activated, angry about some debate. So somebody talks about their own gender identity or that of a friend. Maybe your child comes home from school and says, "Oh, Mom, my friend today said they're non-binary." And you start to feel that activation happening, the anger, the frustration, the fear response. What does this mean about the culture and where we're moving? And to really slow that down. Oh my gosh, I'm responding to my kiddo right now. And how do I show them that I want them talking about these things with me? And so if I respond with anger, if I respond with fear, if I respond with dismissiveness, then my child is probably not going to look to me as a resource in their conversation. They're going to look to the dominant narratives in the culture. And so to your point, recognizing when we start to do that, slowing that down, even as something as simple as taking a few deep breaths and saying, okay, my child is telling me about a friend at their school and something that friend told them about today. How do I be non-reactive in this moment and simply, if nothing else, take in what they're saying? Oh, thanks so much for telling me what your friend told you today at school. And then perhaps when I'm not as upset or activated, circling back and doing something that a dear friend, Meg Batts, has talked with me about, which is, how do we communicate a position about perhaps norms of sex and gender that are in keeping with our Christian beliefs, and do that while also communicating a posture to people who are exploring and actively asking these questions. So perhaps a position is that, I don't believe that gender is purely on a spectrum and that there's no norms that have value around gender identity. And that's my position on gender identity theory, but my posture towards, this kid in your class, honey, is that I want them to be able to come over to our house for play dates, and I want to get to know them better. And I'm so glad that you can be a friend to them. So that would give you one example of kind of how do we move into more meaningful conversation and perhaps think through, what is my posture? What do I want that to be? And what is Christ calling me to in the particular relationships with people he puts in my path? I think we've done a little bit more work thinking about our position on gender theory as Christians, which I'm not opposed to, and I think there's value to that, and a lot less on how do we effectively engage with real people. And that would be a much more fruitful thing to take to prayer, I think, than simply the fears and anxieties about some of the socio-political shifts that we're seeing today.
Mm-hmm.